Shares of Joby Aviation have gotten a lot of momentum in 2024 as the company gets a little bit closer to potential commercial operations later in 2025. And there's actually some really good news that I think investors need to be aware of what's going on, not just in the US, but actually Dubai. That is the place where we're going to see this business model tested first. And there's two things that I think we really need to watch. First is the operations. Can Joby actually run its operations as efficiently as you hope that it would? Second is their demand for their product. Dubai is going to be a really good place to test this because they're going to have a number of different places and heliports, or Virta ports as they're calling them, that they're going to be able to fly around. So are they busy all day? Do they have a ton of demand for flights that may cost hundreds or thousands of dollars? Or are they stagnant for a lot of the day? Let's go through those three keys that I think everybody needs to know about Joby Aviation's developments today. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. So let's look at the latest developments in Dubai. The first thing to know is that earlier this month, they said that they are already beginning construction on the first Dubai Virta port. I have a nice picture of that here. But as they move closer to electric air taxis for commercial passenger service, they announced that they've got their first vertiport. That is going to be in the Dubai International Airport. It's being constructed by Dubai Road and Transport Authority and Skyports. So they broke ground on that recently. So things are already happening. They're building their fourth aircraft right now, moving closer to FAA approval. And now they're starting to build the infrastructure to actually run a business. These are all the things you have to do before you get off the ground. But the second thing to know is that there's not just going to be one vertiport, there's going to be 4 of these in Dubai. I'm going to show exactly where these are going to be because I think how the business model plays out and where they're trying to go is really key. So there's going to be 4 initial locations. The Joby's network is going to have air taxi service, Palm Jumeirah, Dubai Downtown, and Dubai Marina. So let's show exactly where those are. This is Dubai, and I'm going to show this, and I'm going to show where these places are just based on directions. If your alternative is driving, would a Joby aircraft be advantageous? So you can see here, the airport is right over here. This is where the first vertiport is going to be constructed. And one of the locations that this is going to go is Palm Jumeirah. So that's about a 34-minute drive. So that probably gets that down to a couple of minute flight. Obviously, you wouldn't have to deal with traffic and all that kind of stuff. Dubai Marina actually is in the exact same area. You can see that this is about a 30 or 34-minute drive, depending on which way you take. And then downtown Dubai, not a long flight here. This is only about a 17-minute drive, not a lot of distance covered. But again, maybe you get around traffic. Maybe you don't have to go on the streets. You're already going to the building that you're flying to. There could be a lot of advantages here, but not a lot of distance covered. Dubai isn't the biggest city. One of the areas that Joby is looking at is New York City, much more space to cover there, at least potentially if you look at the full metro area. But this is going to be a proving ground. A lot of wealth here, a lot of people who would potentially like to save a few minutes going from a private jet to downtown or their house on the Palm. So we'll see how this plays out. But that is what the infrastructure looks like in Dubai. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. The third and final thing from this release that I think is really key is what the operations are supposed to look like. If you look at this paragraph here, this is designed to be multimodal transportation, just meaning that you may take a flight to one place and then you have access to other types of transportation. So parking infrastructure, ground transportation options. The facility itself is going to have 2 takeoff and landing areas. So basically 2 vertiport stations. And then all of the charging infrastructure for electric charging of aircraft themselves. And Joby isn't going to be running into a lot of competition. They actually have a while to figure out if this business model works and how exactly operations are going to work, because the Dubai air taxi market, they have an exclusive agreement for 6 years. So for perspective, Uber launched and went to basically a global company in 6 years. I don't think we're going to do the same thing with air taxis, but this does give a long runway for Joby to have exclusivity into the market. There are other players that are coming into the market, not only from the US, but also Chinese operators as well. So this could be a big leg up building the infrastructure needed, because that's going to be the key in this vertiport business, in this air taxi business, is you have to have not only have the aircraft, you also have the places that they can fly. So you're either going to be sharing that infrastructure with somebody else, or you're going to be building it yourself like we're seeing here and have those vertiport stations and all of the other infrastructure needed to run operations. So this is going to be a small case study for Joby. And if this works in Dubai, they can just replicate this same model in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in New York, in cities all across the world. And I think that's going to be ultimately where the upside is for investors. So you can see the vision there for Joby and the infrastructure they're starting to build in Dubai. Now, that doesn't mean that this is going to be a profitable company going forward, but actually the rising stock price fuels the company's potential momentum in the future because it gives the company the ability to raise funds. If we just look at their cash flow over the past couple of years, you can see that Joby is burning about $430 million on an ongoing basis. That's not exactly where you want to be, but when you have a $6 billion market cap, that allows you to not only continue that level of cash burn, but also Joby will probably have to increase that cash burn as they build out more aircraft. You're going to have to build those aircraft, likely run them at a loss, at least short term, before you're able to prove out the economics. You don't get efficiency with a business like this until you reach some sort of scale. That's really the chicken and egg challenge. But having a high valuation actually makes it easier to get to scale, which is a little bit confusing. But this is actually one of the ways that Tesla was able to reach the scale that they have. Their stock price kept going up when Elon Musk made their vision bigger and bigger and bigger. That allowed him to raise funds. Tesla's never actually made a profit that is equal to the money that it's raised. That's an interesting piece of history for Tesla. Joby is going to be in the same situation for the foreseeable future. They're going to have to raise more funds to continue growing the company. You don't get to free cash flow positive for years, potentially even a decade or more, just trying to build out this business model. That doesn't mean that it's not going to work, just like we see with something like Uber, but it does mean you have to have a valuation that allows you to raise that capital. If you had a $500 million valuation, you're burning $450 million a year, that's going to be really tough to maintain the business, but you're going to be able to raise capital when your stock's going up like this. Joby has done that even just in the past few months, a $500 million investment from Honda. So I think things are at least pointing in the right direction for Joby. Doesn't mean that they don't have a lot of obstacles ahead of them, but in 2025, they said that by late 2025 they will be operating in Dubai. Could be the case that they're going to have one or two cities in the US also operational, maybe late next year or early in 2026. And then we start to see what the economics looks like. And that's where the rubber really hits the road for Joby. But I think these steps in the right direction, but I think these are huge steps in the right direction. Look for more news both later this year, but likely in 2025 as they build out the second, third, and fourth vertiports in Dubai and start to get that infrastructure and business off the ground. Wouldn't be surprised if we see more testing of autonomous aircraft too. That's going to be where things really could go to the next level for Joby. But let me know what you think about Joby stock. What are you excited about or concerned about? Leave those comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.